everyone, and welcome to Grip Lock, Foundation Disc Golf Weekly Podcast. I'm Hunter, joined as always by Trevor and Konner. I'm back in the studio today.
Heck yeah.
Finally.
Yes.
It is really, I feel so much more at home right now.
I feel so much better.
I feel more at home
the three
here
of
than
us
at home.
just being like,
Yeah.
We got quite the show today. Going to go over Des Moines Challenge. We have a very, very interesting debate on the power rankings because I don't know what the frick to do with them. Trevor's trivia, and then we're going to talk a little bit about the future of manufacturing.
ooh, I
Yeah.
like that.
All right.
But first,
That sounds like fun.
a word from our sponsors. So many disc golfers have tons of extra discs cluttering up our closets and cars. There are very few storage products that are on the market designed specifically for golf discs that don't waste any space, and unfortunately, the ones that do exist are terribly expensive, but now there's finally an affordable option called DiscBox. DiscBox is the only low-cost disc golf storage product on the market. You can go to discboxdg.com, and you'll find quantity discounts, wholesale options, multiple colors, and most importantly, no order minimum, so you can just order a single box if you want. Visit discboxdg.com today and get your collection organized, and use code GRIPLOCKED for 10% off your order. I personally have these in my car and one at home. Makes storage a lot easier and makes the wife a lot happier because when you open the closet, you're not just attacked with 300 discs flying at your face.
They're aesthetic.
Yeah. We also have a new sponsor alert. Support for today's episode comes from True Classic. This brand new sponsor has the absolute best fitting t-shirts a man can buy. Finding the right t-shirt with a little bit of a dad bod is incredibly frustrating. Now, actually, we have 2 out of 3 dad bods.
Fathers of ones.
Yeah. Well, actually, I'm a father of 3. I have my 2 boys here. And one
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, thanks, Dad.
Most t-shirts are either way too tight in your gut or look way too big and boxy. You're not in high school anymore. It's time to upgrade. Dang, shots fired.
like
True
that.
Classic has already helped over 2 million men finally get a better fit at an affordable price. Our listeners get access to the best deal that they offer. For a limited time only, you can get 25% off with the code GRIPLOCKED at trueclassic.com. Now, almost all men's t-shirts are designed to look good on skinny models with six-packs, but most of us aren't packing that kind of six-pack down there, if you know what I mean. Fellas, you're wearing the wrong clothes. True Classic tees taper off towards the bottom, but they fit tighter around the chest and shoulders. It's time to highlight your best attributes with a t-shirt you can confidently throw on. True Classics doesn't stop at tees, though. They're your one-stop shop for men's essentials. Super easy and simple to fill out your wardrobe. From polos to workout shorts, and the same flattering fit to boxer briefs designed with a pouch to keep your bulge nice and comfortable. You thought we weren't going to talk bulges. We're back. All of our gear is top-notch quality at reasonable prices. It's about time you learn how to dress yourself properly. Upgrade your wardrobe with True Classic. Get 25% off at trueclassic.com with the code GRIPLOCKED, and free shipping's included on purchases over $100. 100% risk-free guarantee with a 30-day return policy. Stay classy with True Classic. Your dad bod will thank you. All right. Des Moines, Des Moines, Nebraska. Did y'all see that joke? Every time Brody started one of his videos, he'd be like, "We're out here in Des Moines or Des Moines, Nebraska," and then like the Iowan people were all like,
They were getting flustered.
getting real
That's funny.
outraged.
That's very funny.
outraged.
Outraged.
It smells like Updog in here.
What's down, dog?
Got him. So the results: FPO, we had Kristen Tatar taking it down, Evelina Salonen coming in second, and Macy Valadiaz coming in third. And then on MPO, we had Simon Lizotte taking it down in a playoff over Robert Burridge. And then we had Emerson Keith, Kevin Jones, Joel Freeman, and Evan Smith all tying for third. Basically, no one got any points.
Dude, Kevin Jones must have missed 1,000 birdie putts in that final round.
He definitely had some, but he also hit some. That
Not
were
all,
very impressive.
and not all of the missed putts were short ones. Like
No.
he had some jumpers from way downtown.
He had the pressure if he was trying to put.
He was trying to get in the clubhouse.
He was trying to get a score in the clubhouse that like people were going to chase, and that's a lot of pressure from the chase card. Before we get into too many storylines, though, I love that Des Moines is getting the reputation of having the rowdy crowd.
Yeah.
Like when you show up at Des Moines, like the pros
about it a lot,
the pros talked about it leading up to it, and then on the coverage they talked about it a lot, and it proved to be true.
I like that. They need to roll with that.
Brody and Brian Earhart, and I think I heard one other person, all described the crowd as like. Brian described it as like the most focused crowd he'd ever heard. Brody described it as like a very intelligent crowd. But basically what they meant was like the crowd knew the scores, knew what the shots meant, and like were loud and quiet at the right times. So you didn't have like
huge.
This shot doesn't matter and the crowd freaks out.
Yeah.
Or like, hey, that actually wasn't what he was trying to do. You really want to be over here, and the crowd freaks out. Like they were getting very quiet at super intense moments and then super loud at like important moments. I don't know. I just like because in basketball and other sports, like, oh, when you Duke fan, when you walk into Cameron Indoor, you're gonna get a certain crowd. I like in disc golf, like when you walk into Des Moines, you're playing in front of a rowdy crowd.
Cool. I like that.
I want to see events market themselves like individually more often. Like I want to see them like find an identity and market that. And I think it'd be cool if Des Moines, like this was their thing. Like they market every year. Like we've got the loudest crowd in disc golf. Like that's kind of how like the Waste Management Open in the PGA Tour, like they market that hole 16 like at the loudest hole in golf. Like I want to see like disc golf events pick out things that they're known for, like that the players recognize, not that just that they force upon it. And they market that. I think that's cool for
Well,
Des
the
Moines.
crowd one, like that's something you can't build. So like since you have it, I agree. Like double down on it. Like make the entry fee or like spectator fee cheaper. Make it like and like let everyone know like, hey, we're here to be rowdy.
Yeah,
you know,
I love it.
Have some fun.
Good
I
stuff.
also loved. It didn't work out too well for him, but round 2, Brody on hole 5, the one that's like the shorter one across the water. They have like everyone sits there and cheers and stuff.
Yeah.
And Brody did the like Waste Management thing where he kept them loud while he threw. So like they were all like, they would be really loud when you walked up and they'd get quiet. And Brody like used his hands and like pumped them up so they were still screaming while he threw.
That's great.
And then threw a B.
Yeah.
And like as soon as it came out of his hand, you knew it was bad. He was like, it looked down and just like walked off the tee looking down. But it was a cool moment leading up to it.
Brody's just
That is
trying to
so
create
funny.
traditions out there. I
Yeah.
respect it.
Yeah. I also noticed, speaking of trying to create traditions, they had Brody's round 2 again. He was on coverage because we'll explain how he got on coverage in a second. But round 2, he's still on coverage. And I noticed he wasn't the only one that after 18 took his hat off and walked over to shake hands. Kale LaVisca, immediate hat went off, shaking hands.
Love it. It looks
The
so
movement's
much better.
picking up.
It looks
Movement's
so much
picking up.
better.
But on FPO side, Kristen Tatar dominated.
Yeah.
She put on a pretty dominant performance.
It was pretty ugly.
Evelina was really the only one that was like her only challenger out there this weekend.
Yeah.
But in typical fashion, her putter was what kept her from winning. Her stroke gain putting, Evelina was negative 1.6 and Kristen was 3.05, and Evelina lost by 4.
There
so
you go, folks.
There it is. It was just her putter. But I think, I mean, as good and dominant as performance as it was for Kristen Tatar, which we could talk about that all you want. I don't think it really surprised anyone. I think
people
story.
are upset at us when we
Don't
like
breeze over.
No, we kept keeping Kristen
Oh.
like so high in our power rankings week to week. Like this is why.
I heard a stat, and I haven't had time to fact check this, so feel free to
Oh,
correct
boy.
me. But I heard a stat that she's never finished outside top 3 in Elite Series ever. Like not just this year, but like ever.
That doesn't like blow my mind. I definitely don't think she has this year.
This year she almost did at Ledgestone, but she finished tied for 3rd. That's when I heard the stat. But like that's crazy.
That is crazy. Yeah.
Because
is
like
crazy.
top 3, like we're not saying like top 5. Like an FPO top 5, like you can have some bad weekends and still find yourself in top 5.
Right.
It's hard to have a truly bad weekend and find yourself in top 3.
It's true.
But
Yeah.
Kristen, I mean, it's hard not to pick her as the favorite for Worlds.
Certainly.
She won DDO and beat Paige by 9 at that event.
Certainly seems that way.
But as good as Kristen's performance was, it was almost equally as bad out of Paige and Kat, which is surprising but not surprising at the same time. Paige finished 5th but lost by 13, which I think is the more important thing.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like I literally just said, you can finish 5th in FPO and have a pretty bad weekend
Yeah.
because she lost by 13 strokes.
Right.
And then Kat finished in 11th and lost by 16.
Yeah, Kat really has dropped the ball this year in general. Like she snuck in for a few wins, but I there's just been no consistency, and like that's usually what I like out of Kat is she's consistent. Now, yes, obviously like it's tough not to sound like we're overreacting when we talk about FPO because like when I say that about Kat, and then you're gonna be like, dude, she's literally come outside the top 10 once or
Let's just look at
0
it.
times. But
Well, she just did,
It's-
so it's
but-
more,
right.
more than once.
right, but I'm just saying like it's FPO, so you got to like take everything to scale, like we just mentioned. Like being out when you're a really good player, being outside of the top 5 is a huge deal.
I think Kat might be having a average finish-wise better season than Paige. I think Paige has won more because she's won the major and stuff, which makes her have a better season.
I think what it is too with Kat is when she is losing, she's so many strokes off the lead. Like she just has some really bad.
I mean,
leads.
she won Vegas, 3rd at Wake. Let's just go more recent because like the beginning of the season, she was pretty solid. So she went 11th at Des Moines, 7th at Ledgestone, 6th at D-Glow, 4th at European Open. That's the stretch I
she's had
think
a
you're
bad
in your
stretch.
mind.
Yeah.
Because before that, you go 1st, 4th, 4th, 2nd, 3rd, 9th at OTB, 2nd, 5th, 2nd, 1st, 3rd, 1st.
So she was
4th,
doing
1st.
better. So it
She's
was
like progressively worse.
She's just slumping right now.
But she hasn't had like Paige
Last
has
month
finished
or so.
outside the top 20 at a major.
Yeah.
U.S. Women's. And then came 5th, 3rd, 4th, 1st.
I think in FPO when you're just a top player and you're not winning.
Oh, Paige has won 2 majors, 2 out of 3 majors.
Yeah, when you're not winning like super consistently as a top FPO player, when that division is just so up for grabs, and it's less so this year, but it still is. Like that just really sinks in.
Well, like you can
the
see
podium finishes don't mean as much.
Well, that's what. Well, I think they still do, but they're not getting them as much. Like
Well, I mean,
Paige and
Chris, or when we just saw, Kat has a bunch of them,
but she also has a lot of 4th and 5th place finishes. But like Kristen, like Elite Series, she's just either winning or coming 2nd or 3rd, and like that. When you're thinking of Kat and Paige, I'm thinking of them like at that level.
Yeah.
Where like every weekend Kristen shows up, you're like, she could win this weekend. This tournament, I don't think anyone would have been crazy to say, yeah, I'm not picking Paige in my top 3, because realistically, and I'll stand by this until I'm proven wrong. And I'm gonna start doing this for predictions. I don't think it really has any more the rest of this year, but next year I'm remembering this.
Okay.
Y'all keep me to this. If a tournament is described as like Jonesboro, I'm not putting Paige in my top 3.
Okay. I'm gonna
until she wins.
I'm gonna pay people to describe it like Jonesboro.
Oh, because like this tournament was described as like Jonesboro. Idlewild is somewhat like Jonesboro. Waco is somewhat like Jonesboro, and Paige just like she's not gonna win there.
So is it fair to say that a tournament can't be described as any of those events you just mentioned? Because then it's
but typically
Jonesboro.
for some reason people typically describe it as Jonesboro.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know why.
For some reason that's like
Disc side of
Ricky.
heaven,
Ricky
man.
in his interview was like, yeah, this course reminds me a lot of Jonesboro.
What is it about Jonesboro
property.
that just gets her? What like?
Oh,
what do
I
you think
don't
it is?
know.
I
I
have
don't
no
because like
idea.
it's a type course that looking at it objectively, Paige should win. Just looking at it, there is woods, but like the fairways are very fair. There's only a few holes where you really have to like hit a tight gap and like have touchy shots. There's some OB to worry about, but a lot of it is just like crush your shot.
I'm getting to the
get
point,
approach shot.
I'm getting to the point where I don't know what Paige's game is built for anymore.
Someone said that they think the biggest key is she doesn't have a good forehand.
Doesn't help, yeah.
Which I didn't really look at that.
Her distance is not super accurate. Her putter is not what it used to be, even though it's still solid. I think she was better before. She seemed more dangerous, or maybe that was just relative to the field. But I just don't know what part of Paige game is like, oh, this is her course. It just seems like she's a little sporadic.
Well, that's why I think what's going on, if I'm being fully honest, is I think that it's a mental shift more than anything. Because I think that she was just dominant. That's her brand. She's been dominant. And this year more than ever, similar on the MPO side, this year more than ever, dominance just looks different. We've talked about that on the podcast before. Dominance in MPO and FPO looks different this year.
Very different.
Than years past. And I think that it's a hard mental shift to where Paige still, like, Paige and Paul are somewhat similar. Paul, I think, is adjusted slightly better. Where if they're out of it, like it seems like they're either pushing for the lead. Like as soon as they drop off, they don't care about coming 2nd, 3rd, 4th.
Yeah.
Like when they're in 5th or 6th or whatever they're in, they're just trying to win still.
Yeah.
And so they're like, well, I'm going to just try to throw this in. I'm going to just try to go for this, go for that, whatever.
That's a good point. Like podium finishes are going to start mattering to them.
Yeah, like a podium finish should be a win in today's field, basically.
Yeah.
In a lot of
makes
ways.
sense.
But
It's tough to adjust that mentality.
I mean, you're gonna lose out on money if you keep that mentality up where like I've got to
Well,
push.
it's tough
but
for them
that's
'cause-
the thing is like they
But
both
they
have
don't
big
need it.
content.
Yeah, I'm just saying it technically is. though.
Yes. Yes.
It is. It's just every week is definitely a new episode of, oh wow, disc golf just looks different now. And
Yeah.
FPO is still kind of making that shift, but MPO.
I don't know. They've had more parity this year than ever. They've had 7 different winners. I think.
there's still a lot of. There's certainly a lot of parity. But MPO especially, like MPO, I'm starting to learn that consuming MPO disc golf is like consuming PGA Tour golf, where having your favorite players, like you just cannot be expected week in and week out for the top players to win or be in it. It's just
it's
because
changed completely.
every single week somebody in that field is going to have their best weekend of their life. And just like what Robert Burge just did. And sometimes the better, more talented player will be up there and be able to defend themselves, and sometimes they won't, and there'll just be nothing you can do about it. But like that is what MPO is becoming, and it's tremendous for the sport because we're going to learn so many more players. That's the best part about this is like we're going to just become familiar with all these new games. But
well, it also makes live coverage so much more interesting.
Yeah, but oh my gosh, as a pro who played in the era of the last decade and was just used to, I'm gonna win or come in.
If I show up and play
third,
solid, I'm up there.
Bro, that's got to be just jarring.
Yeah,
and I can't even imagine. So I'm assuming that's what Paige is kind of going through.
That's what I think. But I mean, we also can't let Kat off the hook here because
how we won't.
You remember my favorite nickname for Katrina Allen was the best thrower of the disc.
She's not that.
This was a thrower's course.
Yeah,
she should have been up there. Because that's why Evelina was up there, just because she's such a good thrower of the disc. Evelina's the new Katrina Allen. Fully.
Maybe,
Best thrower of the disc, can't putt. Evelina's the new Cat.
Maybe we just need to give Kat a year with DGA, you know?
We did. She won Worlds last year under DGA. Right?
That's not true.
No, it's not true.
Because
she threw the F7.
I mean, my brain just exploded.
Because DGA runs an ad with her winning Worlds.
That's how I ended up using
wrong.
a steady.
Yeah, you're right. I
was like, what?
Hey, I got 3 hours of sleep last night. Give me a break.
No, it's okay.
DGA runs a ad with her winning Worlds that made me think that she did. No, she did not.
Did you see their Life of a Disc ad they ran?
Maybe.
It's not bad. It's pretty good.
The best
I had a good
ad.
time.
They didn't run it this weekend. It was like 2 weekends ago. I tweeted about it, but I forgot to talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
Did you see it? The PDGA Katrina Allen ad? It was like Kat like throwing her shot, and then it like would cut to like a junior player replicating the shot.
No.
And then like Kat like fist pumped, and then it went to like this.
That's
like
cool.
Like the Kat hit her putt and
That
like
is
fist pumped, and then they had the junior player do like the same thing. And then it was like for the PDGA.
I don't know how it's produced, if it's produced well, but that's
well
a good
enough.
concept for the PDGA to be.
I tweeted at them and said that was the best disc golf commercial I've ever seen. Done.
I did lose some respect for. I was all excited about the True Bank sponsorship. I was like, that's
it's a local
cool.
bank.
Well,
what are we thinking? It's a massive bank. It's a local bank.
I wasn't necessarily thinking it was a massive bank.
Last week we literally were like, I wonder if it's the local branch of True Bank, or is it? And it's like there is only a local branch of True Bank.
What got me was when I saw their ad.
The
and
PowerPoint
it was
slide?
PowerPoint slides, and I was like,
oh, that's tough.
I don't like if it was a local bank, like they ponied up and gave out some money. Like
why did I think True Bank was a massive bank?
It just sounds like it. It's a good name.
No, I swore they were bigger.
I think their website looked solid.
No, that wasn't it either. I thought they like sponsored something big before, but like they're just
Truist is in my bank, so like
Truist. That was a.
I agree with you. I thought that True Bank sounded familiar.
Yeah, I really felt maybe it's just they've sponsored disc golf.
Are they really only in?
They said like
Iowa?
when they were talking, they said like our 8 locations surrounding Des Moines or whatever. Yeah, 7 True Banks in central Iowa.
Okay.
That's it. They're just, it's like member one credit union.
Like I said, I wasn't like
it'd be like if the Bauer Beverage was presented by member
don't
one.
get me wrong, I wasn't upset about that. I was just like, oh, that commercial was a bummer.
I was more upset because last week we were saying like, I wonder if this is the actual True Bank or a local True Bank. It's like they're both, that's the same thing.
People from Iowa are probably like, what are these guys talking about? Like,
idiots.
Is there a True Bank I don't know about? But I mean, hey, they ponied up. The money take home was
a good sponsorship.
Legit, so that was good for them.
Yeah.
Just like make a better commercial next time.
I will be interested though see if this has any effect on confidence, both on MPO and FPO side, because you had Paige and Kat struggle, and then we'll talk about some of the MPO struggles headed into Worlds, because like Worlds is the next event. We have a week off, obviously.
Well, no, kind of, and yes.
They have
yes
this week off. Simon's going home to be with his family this week, which is surprising to me. But most players are going to, because World starts on Tuesday.
Yeah, I'll say most of them are going straight there.
Most of them are going straight there, but they technically have this like off week, so you don't know if like having this off weekend's going to be able to like put this all under the bridge. But it's definitely a blow to confidence when you go out to a course that doesn't play like exactly like Worlds, but it's not a stretch to say it's similar to what they're going to see at Worlds.
Yeah, placement shots, OB around greens.
Yeah, and then to just get destroyed.
Very true.
It's going to be interesting to see if it's a blow to confidence. I'm so excited
for Worlds. I can't believe it's starting so soon.
Someone also, it might have been Casey White, posted on Facebook, asking, was this the first Pro Tour event that 2 Europeans won? Kristen and Simon.
That's a good point. Because
which Simon, we claim, he's from Massachusetts now.
Well, but Simon has 2 other wins this year, and I guess it would just be if Kristen didn't. He won at Portland
and OTB, but I don't know if Kristen was at either of those.
Probably not. I doubt she went. I don't think she went to
I think she might have been back. Yeah, she left after DDO and came back at Ledgestone.
And then Simon does not.
Simon's not a European player
His
anymore.
only other Pro Tour win was Ledgestone, right? Like
previously,
way back.
Yeah.
So as long as that. So it's probably true.
I say Simon's not a European player anymore.
Well, he still plays under the German flag.
I know, but
he's still. I mean, his PDGA technically says he's from Massachusetts.
Yeah, I mean I just think like
he's still a German
understand
citizen.
There's like technicalities and stuff, but to me,
well,
it's
technicalities.
he's
German.
Not, like, well, it's
not a technicality. He is
no,
German.
I mean like I know he can technically still play.
Well, but is he a
Germany.
citizen of Germany still?
Well, no. Here's how we'll decide it. Which President's Cup team did he play for?
Europe.
Team Europe.
I know, yeah.
He's a
It's just,
European.
I mean, his son is literally an American citizen.
Why does that matter?
I mean, it just tells you, like, obviously,
What does that?
his
tell?
all his
That doesn't
all
tell
his
you
eggs
anything.
are in the U.S.
He's
But
still
that-
European.
But that
I
doesn't
know.
make
That doesn't
not
change
European.
anything.
I guess. Well, yeah, you're right. Not that he's
He
not
is
a European.
European.
You're right. Ethnically, he's a European player. I mean, like who he plays for. It still makes sense to me that he'd play for the U.S. because like that's where he's.
But the President's Cup
that's
he
where
played for
He
Europe.
played for Europe.
I know. I just think that's interesting that he played for
Okay.
Europe.
So yeah, this is
All
the
right.
first
That
Pro Tour where we
kinda
had two
weird. I
Europeans
don't
win.
know.
Unless you're Konner, then Connor's gonna strip Simon of every German ounce of blood in his body.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying.
And
And
no,
I'm not-
Connor,
hey,
dude,
we
your
get it. We get
patriotism
it.
is
You hate
leaking right
Germany.
now,
We
bro.
get it. You get it. So, Connor hates
No,
Germany.
dude, Connor's usually pro Germany with his car situation.
That's true.
You can't say Connor's pro
well,
Germany.
Hey, is your
Why not?
Is your BMW American?
It's American spec.
So it's an American car. You don't have a European car.
It was made in Europe.
You don't even have a European car. Well, it's in the U.S. now, though.
Yeah, well,
so
then
I can't be a European
it is
car.
then it's a U.S. citizen.
Its son that drives it, Connor, is an American. So it's got to
the
be an
analogy's
American.
falling apart.
Yeah, it's got to be an American.
I didn't mean to like
drive an
throw any
American
shade
car.
or anything.
You drive an
because I
American
didn't think
car.
it was a bad thing. I
we
just
got to
was
take
like,
his BMW stickers away from
I
this
thought
man.
it was. I just thought it was
I'm
kind
not
of
getting back into this
interesting.
conversation. 'cause it's
That was it. I
pointless.
just thought it was interesting because he like obviously is like planted in the U.S. and like that's where he's living and that's where he's raising his family. So like
For
I just
now,
thought it was
dude.
interesting.
On the MPO
I
side,
didn't
this
think
is one
there
of
was
the
anything
most.
wrong with it.
On the MPO side, well,
Dude.
yeah, Connor, you're
Connor is all.
Well, you're
over
making me
it.
sound like a
No,
bad
it's over.
person.
It's
Comment
over.
down below where Connor's loyalties lie.
Yeah. On the MPO side, this is the most exciting event, if not the most exciting event of the year. I think it's probably the most exciting event of the year.
Like as far as just like the event as a whole or the finish, like what do you?
Mainly like just the down to the wire. finish.
Probably the best playoff, right?
Yeah, that's what I think it was the best finish of the year because it was pretty thrilling. There was a lot of people in it going into the
Yeah.
final round. I don't know. I loved it.
I'm just trying not to like make sure I don't forget anything like crazy.
Well, we do have to talk
The
about the
Gannonburg
weird
playoff was pretty sick.
It was.
That's a tough one to beat right off the bat.
We do have to talk about the weird dynamic of the tournament on the MPO side, though. So
Yes.
if you weren't watching the coverage, essentially what happened is round one happened on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of the field got out, played their round. A lot of players were finishing up. You had like Matty O in with the hot round. Simon was able to get everything but his putt on hole 18. All of this. Massive storm rolls in, like 2-inch size hail storm, rolls in, delays the round right before chase card went off. So chase card didn't get to play yet. Lead card was next up. So like right before they go off, delays the round, pushes till the next morning. So what you essentially had was a decent chunk of the course. The course was full. And then you had chase card and lead card having to come back at like 8 a.m., 7 a.m. In the morning, tee off. Chase and lead card both had to play 36 holes on Saturday because they teed off in the morning.
Yeah.
Then FPO teed off behind them. Then they came back and they kept the same tee group and teed off again in the afternoon.
Yeah.
This created something interesting because you had Calvin, Ricky, Chris, and Paul all in that group that had to come in that morning.
Yeah.
And they all played ugly golf,
Yeah.
like hideous golf. They were able to like scrounge together and get some under par. But if you were watching it, it's not a stretch for me to say they played ugly golf. I mean, we saw Ricky airball a putt over the basket I've never seen before, like 4 feet over the basket. Crazy.
Flag putt.
Pretty ugly golf Saturday morning. Paul was able to bounce back Saturday afternoon, shoot a course record 12 under to get himself back into contention, but then fell off again on Sunday, ended in 16th.
Man.
Calvin fell all the way to 35th. Chris finished in 16th, and Ricky missed cash, finishing in 57th.
Oh my god.
That is talk about what you don't need going into Worlds
Yeah.
where you're like the favorite.
Well, it's a weird dynamic because, again, all of them had to do both rounds on Saturday. But what it also created was this other weird dynamic where players like Robert Burridge and Evan Smith didn't have to face the pressure of cameras and lead card gallery until the final round.
Yeah.
So they were able to play 2 rounds
Very good point.
under the radar. Because like
Very
no
good
one was
point.
talking about them. We were talking about Matty O, Simon was pushing up. There were players that were like jockeying for position, and like no, even on coverage, they weren't treating Evan Smith or Robert Burridge as a threat at all, even on the final day,
Yeah.
which they were. But it was a very weird dynamic. It was the bet I'm not saying it is like they could have handled it any better. That was the only way to handle it.
I was gonna say this stuff happens in golf in general. Like on the PGA Tour, you see this happen too, where like rounds, like the Players Championship, I believe it was this past year, it was like a mess with the weather, and there was people playing rounds at all different kinds of time. Yeah, I don't think it's just one of those. Sometimes you're dealt a certain hand, and you just got to do what you can with it. And so I think that's what they did. And yeah, it's gonna produce weird circumstances, but ultimately, I don't think any of it's like such a crazy random thing that like the whole tournament needs to just be thrown out.
No,
so,
well, it was also like it wasn't like Saturday morning. It was impossible to play a good round. Brody got a 6 under round out there. We won't talk about Saturday afternoon for Brody, but Brody got a 6 under round out there. Emerson Keith shot, I believe, 8 under that morning. So like there were rounds because the hot was 11. So if Paul, Chris, Calvin, Ricky, whoever shoots 8, you're right in it. Like it's not like 3 strokes on that course is definitely doable.
And think about this: what happens if they play that round in perfect conditions in the morning, and then in the afternoon it like rains the whole time, and then you would say, oh, they may have an advantage.
Yeah.
So like it really goes any which way.
Well,
when
I
you're
think
dealing
it gave
with
them a
weather.
slight advantage for the afternoon round because the morning, Saturday morning, was like windy and stuff that like Friday wasn't. So it was like, oh, it looks like they have a disadvantage. But then what you saw is when they came back out, the players who had played on Friday hadn't played in conditions like that at all.
Yeah.
So then they came into Saturday afternoon's round, and you saw Matteo go even when he just went 11 under, and you saw Paul be able to shoot like, I think he shot like 2 under in the morning, 3 under in the morning, and then shoot the course record 12 under with a bogey to start, I believe.
Nuts.
And I think that some of that had to do with the, knowing the conditions a little bit better.
You know what I'd like to see if this would be a fascinating Statmando stat. You take every event on the calendar that people have played this year.
Mm-hmm.
So you take Paul and you take just his best round from each event and get his total under par and compare that to everybody. I mean, I bet he's smacking people.
Probably.
Him and Calvin are probably like astounding.
Well, that's what it's the Paul trend this year.
It is. It's crazy.
He has one round that makes you remember, oh shoot, this guy is probably like one of the best players in the world. And then he just doesn't do it again.
I've just never seen Paul get into contention week in and week out like this, where he's like, oh, he's only 2 back, he's only 1 back. This time he was 3 back, I think,
something like that.
And then he just doesn't do anything, and it's so
he came
foreign
out
to me,
and he came out hot.
Yeah,
through 4 holes, I tweeted about it, and everyone said
he was right there.
Through 4 holes, he had birdied I think 3 of the 4.
Then he made a couple bogeys,
and then he fell apart a little bit and dropped down to 16th. Like it was a very weird. The storyline of Paul round 1, he at one point was in 104th.
Yeah,
and had jumped up
90 spots, I think.
Yeah, he had jumped up to chase card after round 2. So like the storyline was a very Paul fashion. He's going to win this thing and be in 104th and then win. I would have, if I was a betting man Saturday night, I would have put a lot of money on Paul. I'd have been like, Paul's going to win. Like he just shot 12 under, whatever. And then he came out first 4 holes. I'm like, yeah, of course, Paul's winning this. I was like, it's going to be a Paul versus Simon battle. And then Paul just disappeared. And he's like, he just didn't become Kevin Jones became the threat off the chase card out of nowhere.
I will say the good news for Paul is what happened to Rick this week is the best thing that could have happened, because now Paul has had some steady momentum. Like he's doing fine, and Rick having an awful missed cash finish right before Worlds where he's already kind of favored to win. Like there's pressure there. I can't help but think that Paul is putting himself in this spot where he's gonna win Worlds.
Well, it's a weird bump in the road for literally the best players in the world: Paul, Calvin, Ricky, Chris. 4 of the best 5, 6, 7 players in the world. Yeah, depending on where you want to put them, which we'll talk about that later. But those 4 players, very weird bump in the road leading to Worlds. Like the best of 2 at 16th, Calvin at 35th, Ricky at 57th. If you would have told me that going into this weekend, I would have laughed at you. Because typically at least one of them is in the top 5.
It'll be interesting,
at least,
because I do think Worlds is a big reset for a lot of players. Because it's just a different stage when you're playing for that title. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. We'll see if especially if Dickerson can get back on track.
Yeah, but it was also kind of weird because we did get to see, and it might have been Green Splatter. Someone tweeted and was like, "Wow, watching 86th place golf is not as interesting as you would think," because round 2 coverage wasn't lead card because they had to keep their schedule, and so round 2 afternoon coverage you were still watching Brody's card and stuff like that, which Brody would have still been on coverage at that point, but everyone else wouldn't have been on the lead and chase card. I think. Yeah. By the end of that round, that wasn't true because Brody tweaked his knee and it just got ugly out there. But you were watching golf and it was just it was weird because they flashed the scoreboard and no one you were watching was on it. Yeah. And so I was like, this is the weirdest coverage I've ever watched. Again, it was the only thing they could do, and they had highlights of Matteo was falling apart. So they had some highlights of like people who were jockeying for position, getting up. Like they had Simon's highlights because Simon teed off at 12, like 4 hours earlier than what we were watching. So they had like highlights and they did a very good job. I thought the coverage itself did a great job of switching and everything. The signal was terrible. I mean, sometimes I was like, it was like watching Super Mario Bros.
When they would switch and it'd just be like pixels, and I was like, oof.
They had a hot mic catch the tournament director, tell everyone to put their phone on airplane mode again.
Yeah, not a good look.
I was like, I hate that.
Also, they kept messing up the mic situation. They would go to commercial and they would still be on the mics. I will say though,
at one point they came back from commercial and then it was in the middle of the Emporia commercial, and like Terry was like, "Welcome back to cover." It was like Emporia, and just went straight back to the Emporia commercial.
I will say though, commentary was good. Brian Earhart did a really good job on the ground. It seemed like in crunch time, especially whenever they needed to get information from him, he had it.
Yeah.
He was telling us where the lies were and everything like that. So he was also very important during the situation with the Mando that we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Having Brian down there was big for the coverage. So
So the performance of Evan Smith and Robert Burridge on the final round lead card, because I mean, obviously, like we had said, they didn't have pressure rounds 1 and 2. Well, they had pressure they were putting on themselves, but you weren't on a lead card. There wasn't a gallery following you. A lot of stuff that wasn't happening. But on the final round lead card and for the whole tournament, very, very impressive performance, because like neither of them, Robert Burridge obviously clutched up multiple times and got himself into a playoff and then pushed that playoff 4 holes.
Yeah.
Evan Smith, though, he also didn't embarrass himself. Like, he hung around. He was fine.
He made some really good par saves. Yeah, I would say, Burridge, U.S. Am champ just this year, right?
College national champ, too.
College national champ.
I think he was U.S. Am last year.
So he's been in the big stage. So, like, I it's not shocking that he can, like, translate that. I mean, winning those events, they may be smaller.
But they feel
huge when you're in them. Especially, like, winning a college national champ when you're in college. Like, that's a very big deal. But yeah, Evan Smith, really solid performance. It was good seeing him in the leaderboard. He's a solid player.
Yeah, we saw him at the Battle for Bedford.
Yeah, Battle for Bedford is the first time that we really saw him play, and he's really solid.
Yeah.
Burridge is one to watch for the future.
I think, as I say, both of them have a very complete game. It didn't really seem like there was an area where it was like,
oh yeah,
like when, not to brag on him, but when Chandler Kramer was on the European Open lead card, you could see like, okay, but he's gonna have to develop his backhand.
Yeah.
Like there's no
Burridge has no holes.
But
in
you're
his
watching
game, really.
Evan Smith and Robert Burridge, and you were like, they have a complete game. Like
Yeah.
they just have to get better, slightly consistent. I guess is what you really have to say. They don't have to be able to throw the disc any better than they do. They just get more consistent, and then they have the game. Like they were both throwing forehands great. They were both throwing backhands great. They were putting great, and Robert Burridge did not crack under pressure. He missed a putt on hole 1 in the playoff. But it was a very tough putt to make. But other than that, I mean, he time and time again was putting pressure on Simon. Yeah. But I will say the PDGA is pretty fortunate that Simon won this tournament because he got screwed by the new Mando rule on hole 12.
Yeah.
If you didn't catch a situation, essentially, I'll just describe the new Mando rule and Simon's shot at the same time. So the hole had a double Mando. Simon's shot was close to missing the Mando, but made it on the left side and then kicked from the left side to the right side. This new Mando rule basically has the Mando, instead of being you must go left of the tree, is really you cannot go into this restricted area right of the tree. Is basically the new Mando rule. So essentially from the tree all the way to the right, there's this line that in this case was imaginary. There's this line that carries out on, and if your disc at any point enters that either direction, you miss the Mando. So Simon made the Mando, his shot did, kicked back past this right tree, and then there was the decision: did it kick back into this restricted area?
Yeah.
Okay,
that's interesting. The way I'm thinking about this again, because I was thinking to myself, well, wait a second, is it just painting everything on the right side as OB? But it's not true because you lay up short of the Mando. So literally, it's almost like, I guess it's almost like a tripwire. And if you hit the tripwire at any point, that's what makes you out of bounds.
Well, so a guy from the PDGA,
you cross it forwards or backwards.
Yeah, but someone from the PGA was defending this rule, which is it's stupid because the way they were defending it is they were like, let's say that the Mando is protecting the playground, like Simon shouldn't be able to throw through that playground no matter what his shot does. Mm-hmm. My response is playground should be protected a little bit more than just a Mando, because like a Mando, it encourages you not to throw through there, but players would still throw through there by accident. Yeah. Like if I grip locked a shot, I might still hit a kid in the playground.
This is a classic case of how silly does it sound to hear the PDGA defend a rule on a professional tour event talking about a children's playground on the course? This is why that there needs to be a separate set of rules for the Pro Tour, or you shouldn't be playing on courses with playgrounds on it.
Especially look at this hole.
That is so stupid.
This hole in particular, the Mandos were just to make you hit this gap.
Yeah.
That was the only purpose these Mandos served, and Simon hit that gap.
Right.
Why is Simon getting punished? And then on top of it, the Pro Tour or whoever decided on this course, the line that went to the right,
the all-important line,
was just an arrow.
Yeah, so there's no actual.
So basically,
line.
what was happening is you had the entire card and Jeff Spring for like 5 minutes looking at Simon's disc and looking back at the line,
they should just
saying,
all held hands and made their own
saying,
line.
is this on the line or not on the line?
So bad.
Which again, I argue, if you have to look at it that closely for 5 minutes,
Just say
he's
it is.
fine.
Yeah.
He made it because what are we doing?
Well,
but unfortunately, you had Joel Freeman be like, "Look,
pressuring
guys,
the
we're
whole
taking
group.
way too long. I think he's in the restricted space. What do you guys think? Like, I think he missed it." And then the other two guys, Robert Burge and Evan Smith, are like, "Yeah, that's fine."
The young guys.
Yeah,
who
they're
are
like,
getting
"Yeah, okay,
bullied,
that's fine."
basically.
Well, also Robert Burge, he has something to win here at
Right.
stake. So if someone's like, not saying that he did this intentionally, but like if I'm in that situation, I'm like, it's so close. Like, it'd be a really good break for me if he missed this. And then someone's like, I think he missed it. I'd be like, it's too close to call. If you think it, I'm going with you. Because like, why wouldn't you say that?
I wish Simon would have fought it more, but also at the same time,
Like, what are you fighting though? Because like Jeff Spring's standing right there, and if Jeff Spring's like, I don't know the call, and then like your card says
Simon took it really well, and I think him getting his head on his shoulders again so quickly is probably what
It was
helped
very
him
impressive.
win, because I would have been distraught.
Now,
I would have been so mad.
we do have to say he didn't have the best lie. So like, did it actually cost him a stroke? Tough to know, but most likely yes.
Yeah, he's
most
probably
likely
getting
yes.
up and down.
But I was watching that. I was like, the PDGA, like, surely, like, just get off your high horse, look at this rule, be like, yep, this is stupid, and then change it.
That's what I'm saying. All it should take is one instance like that to be like, yeah, that doesn't really work.
Well, because again, if we're talking about a playground as the safety thing, Simon would have still hit the playground.
Yeah.
So, okay, like Simon threw the good shot, hit, kicked. Your Mando didn't protect the playground. It still got hit. So was that like what?
Yeah.
Okay, so now it's a penalty, but like if you're trying to protect the playground, make it OB, make the entire playground OB, or because like their thing was like we don't want someone throwing through the playground. You can still put a Mando, and then like make the playground OB and put a Mando, and you're not gonna throw through the playground.
I do think the most laughable part is the fact that there wasn't a defined line when that is the whole purpose of the rule. Is like there needs to be a line crossed.
Yeah,
like that cracks me up.
Because that's to me like it also the rule says. If I was Simon, I would have argued this point. The rule says clearly in the it uses the word clearly in the restricted space. If you have to look at a lie for 5 to 6 minutes, it's not clearly in the restricted space.
Yeah.
So I would be like, look, we're arguing this 5 minutes. The rule says clearly, I'm not clearly in the space. I'm throwing from here. I'll play a provisional if you want me to, but I'm like, it's obviously not clearly in the restricted space.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But like that, I tweeted this. I'm like, if we're doing this stupid restricted space thing, which I still think stupid, so don't get my take mixed up. If we're doing this, the line has to be, as a tournament director, it's the same rule with OB. Paint the line to where you think no one's going to be, and then paint another 20 feet.
Right.
Because
Somebody
get
will
there.
get there.
Yeah, because someone's going to find that spot.
Yeah.
And basically what ended up happening is Simon could have been screwed out of winning this tournament by there not being that line.
It definitely, I mean,
Forget the rule, because obviously the rule is in place. By there not being that line,
lost by a
Simon
stroke,
could have...
well, frankly, that's
He went to the playoff.
Yeah.
If he would have lost in the playoff, he would have got screwed because someone didn't paint a line.
Could have changed everything. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, could they have painted the line and made it clear he was in the restricted space? Absolutely. But how are we going to know? There was no line. I was very frustrated watching it.
It was one of those things where I really wanted to be there so I could have looked at it. Because like I was just like, oh, it looks so close. Like,
But that's my thing is like if I'm staring and I'm having to go like this back and forth, even on OB stake to stake, if I can stare at it for 5 minutes and not make a decision, I'm saying the player's in bounds.
yeah, you give the benefit of the doubt.
It's not a rule that the benefit of the doubt goes to the
Joel
player.
Freeman bullied them, man.
It's not a rule benefit of the doubt goes to the player. It's just a like thing of like if I have to stare at it this long and I'm going cross-eyed looking at it,
I'm not
and
gonna
I can't decide,
call it the other way.
how am I calling it the other way? Because like I can just as easily say you're in. So now it's just like I'm having a bad day. I want Simon to be screwed here. Because like what else is it? Because obviously no one can make the true decision.
Right.
I think that's definitely the best argument. The fact that it says clearly in the restricted area obviously wasn't clear. So like,
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
that's the
that
other thing
can't
is,
be
like,
argued.
The PDGA, why is the word clearly in that rule?
Yeah. That is a very good point.
It's like they just
kinda
know
screwed
that the
themselves
lines
with that.
aren't going to be.
Yeah, like when you put clearly in there, now it's all of a sudden objective.
If you
again.
have paint, or even better, if you have a rope on the ground, it's going to be very obvious.
Yeah.
Like there is a line.
Yeah, but Simon ended up clutching. He birdied what, 14 out, hole 14 out, like 5 in a row, which it's a pretty tough stretch.
Yeah.
There's some that are easy, like 17's pretty easy, but 18's a tough birdie, 16's tough birdie. It was a tough stretch. And then we saw Robert miss a chance for the win on hole 1 after Simon threw a pretty bad forehand to the ground. They both birdied hole 2, and then Robert hit a 60-footer on hole 3, put pressure on Simon, who hit a 40-footer on hole 3.
So sick.
And then hole 4, it got pushed to hole 4, and very unfortunate break for Robert.
Stump skip, man.
The stump.
Brutal.
He threw a great shot, hit about 20 feet from the basket, and just happened to hit a very small stump that just launched him to 45 feet behind a tree.
That is one of those things that your buddy comes in from the round, the tag match, and is like, dude, the round just got taken from me. Listen to what happened. And he explains it, and you're like,
yeah, dude,
yeah,
okay.
Okay. But that was honestly so brutal.
The moment Nate Doss realized it, because they were watching, Nate's like, man, that's a weird skip. And the camera's slowly zooming on the stump.
I was so confused too.
Yeah.
I was like, that hit a sidewalk?
I didn't know what happened, but then Nate, as they slowly zoomed in, Nate goes, Terry, he hit the stump. It was a very funny moment. And then he left him with a obstructed lie behind this tree, straddle putt, Annie putt, 45 feet, staring at the water when your opponent's 40 feet out. And he did the right thing, even though people are going to flame him for it, I'm sure, of laying up.
No, I agree.
You don't have another option.
No, I agree. Well,
you obviously have another option, but that's a very dumb option to execute.
It's one of those things. So I think it was an interesting scenario for
if that
sports
tree's not
statistics.
There, I agree with what you're about to say.
I agree with you. I think he made the right choice. It's a statistics play, right? So his statistic play to make there is, okay, what's the percentage I make this putt? But not just that, what's the percentage I don't go out of bounds on this putt is really the question.
Yeah.
And if you're going to try and make it, I would say if he throws that putt 10 times, he maybe makes it once, maybe, and he probably goes out of bounds 8 out of 10 times. So he's thinking, okay, there's a 20% chance this works out. Whereas now he's got to assess that to a Simon 40-footer. Granted, he just made one, and granted, he is about to take a lot of pressure off of Simon when he lays it up. So now he's got to say, okay, so he probably gives Simon maybe, let's say, a 60% chance of making it. Well, that's 40% chance he doesn't, and that's better than the 20% chance he doesn't throw his putt out of bounds. That's where he makes that decision, and I completely agree that was the smart statistic decision to make. I think there are some players who would have ran it, and if you ran it and miss, you look like an idiot. If you run it and make it, everybody goes, oh my gosh, you're so cold-blooded. That was the sickest thing ever.
It's the same situation as when you're in high school and you're on a fast break and you pull up for a 3.
Yeah, completely. Yeah,
if you make it, your coach is like, wow,
what a shooter.
Sick. If you miss it, you're being benched.
It is. And it's, it's a hard one because he gave himself that extra life the hole before with that huge putt. So, it's completely in his hands. And he decided to put it in Simon's hands, and Simon, did what he did. He made the putt. It's a tough one.
If that tree's not there, you run it every time. It was Jesse had to do that weird straddle anti-flex bid.
It was such a tough. It's
really
too
what
touchy
it is. Of a putt.
Really what it is. And the reason I tweeted about it last night because I think that he made the right decision, but I just wanted to see what other people said. And I mean, you get the typical answers, but it's just such a heartbreaking thing to have to watch in sports when somebody the right decision is to basically give somebody the keys and say, all right, it's up to you now. And that was, man, it was tough. It was really tough. But I think that he did make the right statistical decision. And
well, it's similar to Paul at Worlds last year.
Yeah.
When Paul got asked about Worlds after, he
Paul
was upset
Worlds
himself.
was an even easier decision because Paul Worlds was having to battle against a throw-in.
Yeah, I know.
Rather than
Paul was like, I gave him the chance. Is how Paul looked at it. It was like, well, yeah, but statistically, you gave him a 1 in a million chance if you hit it. What do you?
I would say Paul's situation, Conrad makes a couple out of 100 of those, if even. Whereas Simon Lizotte is making at least 50%, if not more, of those putts. So it's different. But I think he gave himself the best chance to win by laying up. But
because like you're saying, if he misses that putt, if he runs it, misses it, it's going in the water.
Yeah, I would say
his only other option is hits cage and drops.
Yeah.
Most likely it's even rolling in the water if it doesn't.
Yeah.
And then Simon has just a layup tap in.
Yeah,
you're handing Simon the win versus you're making him take it from you.
Right.
Are the two options.
It sucks when it happens and it doesn't work out. Like he is probably going to be thinking about it. Like he's probably going to be like, man, maybe I should have ran it. But at the end of the day, that's just sports. Like there are times like that where it's like you've got to make decisions to, it's like in football when you decide to like let your opponent in the end zone because you're running out of time, or you decide to run down the clock to kick the game-winning field goal and you miss it anyways. Like there are just things that you do because you have to play to the statistics at times, and they just don't work out, and then you feel a little silly, but it could have gone the other way. It's a tough one because we would have all applauded it.
It's like when you play in the foul game, late game scenario in basketball.
Yeah,
it like rarely works out, but like that's your statistical
every
best
once in a
chance.
while, somebody will miss a free throw.
Every once in a while, like Trey Jones, UNC versus UNC, throwing it off the front rim for the free throw for the game winner, going to overtime. Very low statistical chance you pass it off the front of the rim and you get it back and you hit a shot. But when it happens,
it's true.
Creates the most electric moment in February of 2018 that you'll ever see. Or was it 2018? No.
I don't know.
It's 2020, I think, or 2019.
I've completely erased
I have a
that from my
video
brain.
of my reaction to it on my Instagram. It was an incredible moment.
Completely
But with Ricky's struggles and Simon's not struggles, does it change your mind for a favorite to win Worlds?
Well, if you're saying like putting Simon as the favorite,
Well, like, is Ricky still your favorite? I guess is more the question.
man, it's tough. He really struggled. It is tough. I think it is because I think he's still going into a course that he won at last time and a lot of people struggled at. It's still home sweet home dynamic country. I still think he's the favorite. He had a bad week, but like you can get a few good practice rounds under your belt and build that confidence. Ricky is not, he's been around long enough. So I still think he's my favorite. If I had to bet on somebody, I would still bet on Rick. I would say just going forward this year, I mean, Simon had that hot streak and I was trying not to overreact, and like he simmered down a little bit to where I was like, okay, maybe he just got hot. Wins again. Now, it's safe to say
he has
that 3
Pro Tour wins this year. Him and Ricky both have 3.
Yeah, safe to say that Simon is he is somebody who he can win any week at this point.
Yeah,
like his game has gotten to that point now. Like he's making those putts under pressure. Like he's throwing the disc so well. Like Simon is somebody that week in and week out is dangerous to win, and good for him, man. What a story of a guy who, this people are overlooking, I think a lot. Like this guy had his whole prime, basically, prime as far as athletic prime, and he was never really winning much, but he was entertaining and kind of just hanging around. He gets injured, becomes a father, he's got these obstacles, and then what does he do? He comes back and he's having the best season of his career. Like, what an awesome story that is. And like I'm so happy for him. Like it is incredible what he's doing with the circumstances.
Now, before we move on, we do have to mention, I don't know if I already mentioned it, but Paul Ulibarri finished in the top 20 and qualified for USDGC in your face, Trevor.
Thank goodness I didn't make a bet on that.
I actually heard that on hole 18, right before his putt, he said, this is for that blonde dude before he hit the putt on 18.
I hope he did.
Yeah, I heard that. So.
Listen, I mean, it's one of those things, like, I would understand people coming after me if I said that about Yuli, but he had good finishes this year. He literally, we looked at it last week, has had no good finishes. So me saying I wasn't just saying, oh, Yuli's trash. I was saying like, no, he just hasn't been good this year at all. So him doing that the very next week is hilarious. I would like to say my second statement did stand though, because I also said last week that Matteo just doesn't win, which first of all, people were commenting me like, what are you talking about? He doesn't win. Look at all his wins. I'm only talking about Elite Series and Majors. Those are the only wins that matter. Come on, people. Don't be silly. Those are the wins that matter. But he choked. He choked this week after that hot round. So, hey, Matteo still doesn't win. That statement is still correct for at least
Matteo's
one more
about
week.
to win Worlds.
He might win Worlds. That would be very fitting.
What happens if he wins Worlds? I feel like
you have to get a Matteo tattoo.
Definitely not.
If he wins Worlds,
you got to get a Roll Tide tramp stamp.
If he wins Worlds for the next month, after Worlds, you have to wear a bandana.
Does he wear bandanas?
I've definitely seen him wear bandanas.
He doesn't
before.
always.
I think
you have to play.
Though.
You have to play every round in sunglasses. How about that?
Yes.
That's not enough of a punishment, though.
I mean,
throwing with the sunglasses is very irritating.
It's not going to be fun.
And plus, like, what if it's raining out?
I'll
you want to go see.
Then we won't.
Oh,
then we
it
won't be
also.
Trevor wouldn't be able to see. Be
we
dark
wouldn't
out.
be playing disc golf.
Well, like if it's cloudy, like a cloudy day, overcast.
All right, good. I'm good with
No,
sunglasses.
how about this? If Matteo wins Worlds, when I go play that B tier in Vegas, I'll wear sunglasses every round.
You just have to dress like Matteo when you play the B tier
Well,
in
I mean,
Vegas.
the rest of that's not that difficult.
Loud shirt, bandana, sunglasses.
His shirts aren't always that loud. He just wears normal polos a lot of the time. But I'll definitely rock. I mean, the sunglasses alone is gonna make me feel like an idiot.
That's fair.
Do we
just
do
believe
sunglasses?
that.
Do we do sunglasses in Vegas, or do we do every video for a month?
I could do
I
that.
think I'd rather have every video for him.
I think
That's
so too.
fine.
Because
I'll take
I want to
videos.
be able to experience it.
yeah,
that's
Vegas
fine.
is like
Hey,
what happens
that's-
in Vegas stays in
That's
Vegas.
better. That's better for me. That's fine. All right, every video for a month.
If
he wins
Matteo
Worlds.
wins
I love how
Worlds.
I make these bets and like there's no win for me, and that's fine.
Well, yeah,
it's a win-win.
it's a
It's
win-win.
content.
It's content.
But
Points
like,
were
how did I end up
very
putting with steadies, and there was no way out.
points were very uninteresting. I got 3 points for FPO for picking Kristen to win.
Good job,
Konner
man.
also got 3 points for FPO and 1 point for your dark horse pick, tying with Trevor's dark horse
Heck
pick.
yeah.
Trevor got 1 point for FPO, picking Kristen in the top 3, but not to win, and 1 point for your dark horse pick. None of us got a single point for MPO.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
I mean, it does this week, but like, has that ever happened?
Unless
That-
we were gonna
it
pick-
was bizarre.
Probably never happened.
That was
honestly.
bizarre.
Yeah, not a single point. We out of our 6 people, we picked one person in either top 3 correctly.
I'm not gonna
Kristen
lie.
Tatar.
Whenever I looked at the top people from this tournament, I was like, some people I was like, who is that? I don't know who that is.
Who is that?
Who is that?
Who's that? Power ranking time. I don't know what we're about to do, if I'm being completely
I
honest.
think we all know what we have to do.
Simon Lazat's 7th in the world currently.
That is tough.
Now he's number 1.
Does he? How far up does Simon go? How far down does Ricky go?
Here's
Where does Kevin Jones go?
here's what I was thinking.
Good
Hunter.
questions.
Here's what I was thinking.
I think we remove Eagle's ghost and make Eagle number 1 head into Worlds.
I think when a player has a lot of wins in the past and then they get a new fresh one, it kind of brings those old wins back up again a little bit in my mind. And I think it
He
kind
just
of
went
refreshes
26th,
them.
10th, 16th, 22nd.
Well, because it shows that,
That
it's
is
still
the hard,
possible.
That is the hard thing is like people are like Simon has to be number 1 in the power rankings, but like they're week to week. They're not a whole season picture. So like just because he has 3 wins, only one of them is recent. The other 2 are still far back, and he had some bad finishes in between. So like the whole idea behind these power rankings, though, I will say is we want these to reflect going into the next tournament. Who are we really thinking has the best chances of winning? And that is what the power rankings are supposed to reflect. Like who is the best right now as far as like going into the next event, not like after the last tournament, because yeah, of course, like Simon was the best at that tournament. And I obviously think Simon obviously needs to jump up, but I don't know about number 1. But it is also really hard when
Does Gannon Burr become number 1?
Ricky just pooped the bed. What did
Ricky
Gannon do?
can't stay number 1.
Yeah,
that's the only thing we know.
What did Gannon just do?
12th.
Not that impressive.
No.
Maybe we do make Eagle number 1 and Simon number 2.
Well, here's the thing: is like Simon's 7th. It's a big ask for him to jump everyone that's been beating him recently. But Paul, Calvin, Chris didn't play good.
Yeah,
Gannon came in 12th.
It's not just him beating them, but it's also them doing so poorly.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Ricky cannot be number 1 in the world. That's the only thing I know for sure looking at this list. But I don't think does Paul jump Ricky? No, right? Let's pull up the player comparer.
This is a tough one.
This is tough.
People are going to get so flustered at us for not making Simon number 1.
I agree. I don't think he can be number 1.
I don't-
But
I just like,
if
yeah,
he's not, I think Gannon Burr almost has to be, and I don't like that.
I don't like it either. I don't like it either because Gannon Burr isn't winning, and like winners deserve to be number 1 in the power rankings.
I mean, we can make Simon number 1,
it would be a people pleaser move.
but I'm not here to please people.
Darn right.
So recently we have Ricky's 4-3 against Paul over the last
Just
7
like-
with 1 win. Paul doesn't have any
Just
wins.
like compare, just to show the people, compare Simon to Rick. Just like so you understand
over the
what we're-
recent,
Yeah, just so you know what we're talking about.
Ricky's 5-2
So
against Simon.
This is what we're talking about. Ricky over the last 7 is 5-2 against Simon. So like yeah, and guess what? They both have wins, right? Mm-hmm. So just
Simon does have 2 wins in the last 7. Ricky only has 1.
okay. So that definitely helps. But I'm just saying like it's not like always so cut and dry. I don't
Only
know.
thing though is Ricky came in 57th. 57th.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Ricky can't stay number 1. That's the only rule here. I don't care who ends up there. Ricky can't be
Man,
there.
Maybe we do just put Simon at 1. Because I'm starting to think that nobody deserves it, really.
No one deserves it.
Here's
I
what-
agree with
here's
that.
what I'm
Eagle
looking at,
deserves
Hunter.
it. Eagle McMahon deserves number 1 in the world. And he's back next week.
He's in a good
I think
spot.
I think it's okay to put Eagle back because he's going into Worlds and like he's probably gonna win Worlds. Like if we're talking just like favorite now that Ricky got bumped, Eagle's probably gonna win Worlds.
Oh, that's criminal.
That is criminal, but like that feels good.
He was so comfortable in that ghost spot.
Eagle 1, Simon 2, Gannon 3.
I honestly want to do it just to make all the Simon fans mad. Let's do it.
I'm a Simon fan. I
I
won't be
feel
mad.
I like Simon too,
I
but I
feel
think-
mad. I feel
Let's
upset.
put Eagle.
But the only
at
thing
one.
is like putting Eagle 1 bumps someone outside the top 10. Kevin Jones also needs to move up.
Conrad outside.
Where did Conrad finish?
I don't know.
29th.
Yeah, Conrad. See ya, Chief.
Kevin Jones needs to move up.
Yeah.
Matty O needs to move up.
Yeah.
Where did Kyle Klein finish?
We can maybe bump Kyle Klein down a little bit.
He came in 7th. Can't.
Ow!
He actually tied with Matty O, so
Oh, so he doesn't really have to. We don't really have
we
to
don't
shift that as
have
much
to
as we
shift
thought we
that
did.
much.
Matteo just had one good round, dude.
Kevin Jones does need to move up.
We could slide him. Let's start with this.
Well, let's compare Kyle Klein and Chris Dickerson, just to see where we're at there.
Okay.
Klein, Kyle. Klein is 3-1 over the last 4 against Chris. Chris has went 12th, 19th, 16th. Chris needs to be bumped down.
Chris needs to go down.
Chris is overhyped. Let's look at
Yeah.
Matty O.
Yeah.
I think
Laura
he's
Matt.
just overhyped because of us, though.
They're 2-2. So Kyle Klein's a better player than Matty O. Let's look at Kyle Klein versus Matty O since May. 1-2 and 1. They tied.
That doesn't add up.
But Kyle Klein has a top 3. Matty O does not.
Let's
Okay.
just start.
Okay.
So let's start by getting James Conrad out of there.
James Conrad, you have been removed from the top 10.
And then
Are we actually putting Eagle in?
yes.
Going into Worlds.
Yes, because you're right. You're right.
Eagle's back next week.
He's back.
I think Eagle is now officially out of his ghost spot
So twisted.
and in.
so twisted.
I think Simon
we better
Lizotte.
hope this one pays off.
I think Simon Lizotte jumps to 2.
Okay.
I'm okay with that move.
Yeah.
He just won. Okay. Then we have do we go Ricky 3 or we go Gannon 3, Ricky 4?
Let's put Ricky all the way down to 4 and shame him.
Okay, so Gannon 3, Ricky 4. Is that too aggressive? No.
No,
He came in 57th.
No,
Hunter.
57th.
He came in
That's ridiculous.
You don't come in 57th and stay anywhere near the top. Calvin Heimberg, Paul Macbeth 5th, Calvin Heimberg 6th, and then Kyle Klein 7, Matty O 8, Kevin Jones 9, Chris Dickerson 10.
Oh my gosh, Dickerson all the way to 10th though.
And let's go Jones, Kevin Jones versus Dickerson. Dickerson has sucked over the past few
I
weeks.
know it's weird.
Yeah, Kevin Jones is 3-0
All
over the
right,
last 3.
Dickerson to 10th.
Dickerson this might be the biggest fall a man's ever taken.
It's pretty tough.
Ever in the
It's
history of
pretty
the
tough.
world. It is like the Roman Empire. Kyle Klein is now in 7th. Did Kyle Klein go down 1? I think so. Yeah, he definitely did. Matty O's in 8th. He stayed there. Kevin J is in 9th.
Did you guys put Eagle as 1?
Yep.
Yeah,
How can you be the number 1 player in the world if you haven't played?
because
He's coming back to Worlds.
because he's going.
But he's not a player because he's not playing.
He's playing next weekend at
But-
Worlds.
Going
But you don't. But
into
you don't know
Worlds.
how well he's done yet.
Tell me that Simon Lizotte's number 1 player in the world.
Simon Lizotte's number 1 player.
Liar.
I just wanted to see how that was going to play out.
I just think that going into after we saw what he
This
did
is
at
the
European
thing.
Open.
No one deserves the number 1 spot in the world right now. That's
I
basically where we're
understand
at.
that, but the person that hasn't been playing definitely doesn't deserve
Eagle
it.
has been in the ghost number 1 ever since European Open.
But I know he
But
hasn't
Eagle
played
hasn't-
though.
Do we want to have no one in Eagle Ghost 1? Just number 1 in the world, blank.
Yes,
Eagle
Yes,
Ghost.
yes.
that will make
I
me
like
feel
that.
better.
I like
that will
that.
make me feel
Okay,
better.
so no one is number 1 in the world. No, this is a serious ranking.
No, this is better. This is better.
No, this is not
nobody,
better. He
No,
hasn't
nobody
been
at 1.
playing.
Nobody at 1. I
Okay.
like it. And
Nobody deserves 1.
nobody
Eagles
at
at
1,
Ghost.
and Eagle still goes 1.
There we go.
Nobody is at 1.
No one deserves number 1 spot in the world.
I think that makes more sense.
Eagle McMahon's still the ghost number 1 spot in the world. It's his if he claims it at Worlds.
because it's like
So
he should be,
freaking
but
funny.
technically you can't give.
it's
it to him.
his if he claims it at Worlds.
Yes.
Yes.
'Cause it's
He's
vacant.
the heir to the throne. Simon is like the younger brother who has to murder
That's
Eagle
also
to get
older.
the throne, or like the evil uncle that's gonna murder the current
It's a
king.
Crush Boy throw off for the throne.
That's right.
Oh, love that.
That's right.
Okay, so number 1 in the world is nobody with Eagle McMahon, and
The ghost number one.
It's
The
his
ghost
if he
spot.
it's his if he claims it.
Heir to the throne.
Simon Lazat's 2, Gannon Burr's 3, Ricky Wysocki's 4 to shame him for coming in 57th.
Shame.
Paul Macbeth is in 5th. Calvin
Shame.
Heimberg is in 6th. Kyle Klein 7, Matty O 8, Kevin Jones 9, Chris Dickerson 10.
Love it.
I like that.
Love it.
I like that.
All right,
Love it.
boom.
That is too fun.
FPO. Do we touch?
I don't even think we touched
Kristen
it.
Tatar is number 1 in the world. That makes sense.
It just scares me every time I look at it. I don't know.
Owen Scoggins didn't show up, I don't think.
No.
Nope. And then I think Missy
She did not play well.
Gannon came in 13th. So she didn't beat Cat. So I don't think we touch them.
We're not touching it.
Because Val Mandahano came in 11th. So
We're not touching it.
Kristen Page, Cat, Missy Owen.
It sounds good to me.
I think it still fits.
It still works. Worlds is going to be a big shift.
Worlds will be the shift.
The shift.
Worlds is going to decide the world number 1 on the power ranking.
Yeah, because right now it's nobody.
Whoever wins Worlds immediately goes number 1.
So funny.
Matty O jumps from
That
8th
is
to 1st.
so funny.
Yeah, nobody holds our number 1.
I love
I think
that.
that's fair because no one deserves it right now.
Nobody deserves it. Somebody earn it. I mean, I can just hear the Simon people boiling right now. Like, he just won. What do you mean he doesn't deserve
Well,
it?
hey, Simon just won, but he went 22nd, 16th, 10th, 26th. Does that sound like the number 1 player in the world?
Yeah.
No.
Just
No.
because you win once doesn't
He
mean
won. He jumped to 2nd in the world. That's a big jump.
Yeah, that's a big jump, guys.
and it was
Baby
it
stats.
was an impressive win.
I don't think you can be as far back and
We
jump
could
into number.
we tentatively put Robert Burridge. No, Simon was in 9th or 8th or 7th.
you
He was
can't-
down there.
You can't just jump to 1 with one silly win.
Yeah, he
No,
won. It was
you
an
can't
impressive
do- I
win.
agree with you there.
It was an impressive win, but it was
Now-
1 week.
Yeah, no, but next week, if he beats out Eagle and then nobody else wins Worlds,
Well, if someone random wins Worlds, Simon comes in 3rd and he beats everyone else on the list, Simon's number 1.
there you
That's
go.
fair.
That's all we need.
That's fair.
That's all we're looking for.
But you know what? Here's what I'll say. He can't claim it from Eagle because he didn't beat Eagle.
You can't beat Eagle when he's a ghost.
Yeah, he didn't. Did he beat Eagle at Des Moines?
Didn't think so, Connor.
No.
I'm just saying
Something to
it's
think
called.
about.
It's number 1 player in the world, and in order to be a
are you
player,
trying to tell
you
me
have
that
to
Eagle
play.
is not a player?
Well, you
At
also
the
gotta
past,
remember
I
that
think if we're looking at
these power
recency,
rankings
he's not
also-
a player.
Eagle showed up, just walked up, no forehand in sight, won European Open.
that is the problem.
And
Connor.
walked away.
The problem is
We saw the glimmer of greatness.
We
I
saw
know.
him do this already. So the idea that he's gonna do it at Worlds again is just so
It's not crazy.
believable.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I'm not saying that I don't think he's gonna do well at
We're just trying to get
Worlds.
ahead of the curve.
I'm just saying that he's not the number 1 player right now. As
I would
of
disagree
recent.
with that statement.
I don't know.
That's
though.
okay.
Because I think that if you look at the world, all the disc golfers in the world, I think currently Eagle McMahon's the best player.
I
in the
just
world.
I think you've got to be penalized for not being at events.
He is, and that's why.
and that's why he's a ghost.
Exactly. That's I agree with you. I'm
Then
happy with where we have
I
the power
don't.
rankings.
I don't like that nobody's number 1. It's the only thing I
love
don't
it.
like.
I
But we're fine.
love it.
We'll leave it.
I love it.
Nobody deserves it. We're there.
I like it. I like inventing rules. It's very.
I was
fun.
also hoping Simon wasn't going to win
My
because I was
vision-
going to make a shirt that said Simon's my champion.
My vision for these power rankings is that years from now they get so obscure that the number slots are replaced by things like sounds and colors.
What?
Yeah, magenta spot just really not fitting right now
Hey,
for Paul.
You know what? I don't think Eagle quite earned the peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah, that's my vision for these power rankings.
We will,
is they just
you know
slowly-
what?
like
We're gonna shift it. Eagles peanut butter and banana until he earns the jelly.
Inventing the ghost spot was just like a one little step in the direction that
We're
I
gonna
think
look
headed.
back on this episode and be like, that's where it started.
Yes, power.
All right,
rankings.
it's time for the fan favorite segment, Trevor's trivia.
Okay.
What do you got?
So
Is this your favorite segment, Hunter?
not mine.
It's mine.
It's mine as well.
Oh.
I'm a fan of the show,
I am.
and that's why it's
So-
a fan favorite segment.
Big fan. I got front row seat.
I got a backstage pass.
A few
Dang.
a few questions relevant to
I'm sorry, sir.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead.
Sorry, man.
I got a
I
few.
miss you,
I
dude.
got a few questions relevant to Simon's recent win because with that win, he got his third in the last 5 years. He now has 3 Elite Series or major wins. They actually happened all this year for him, but he joined some very elite company. There's not many players on the list of people who have at least 3 or more Elite Series and major wins combined in the last 5 years. In fact, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other people. So that first question is, what other pros in the last 5 years have a combined 3 or more Elite Series and major events wins? Simon joining them.
Simon joined. And how many are there? 5?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 others.
6 others have that many.
Yes.
Eagle, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Is Konner playing this or just me?
Konner can join. He's a team
Okay.
effort.
I like the team games.
I said Eagle, Paul.
Yes.
Ricky.
Mhm.
I meant to say Ricky, but I'm glad Eagle slipped in my mind because I was thinking Rick said Eagle.
in the past, how many years?
5.
Okay. only
Across all 5, they have 3.
Mm-hmm. Or more.
James Conrad,
Yes.
because he won U.S. and Worlds in that time. So that's 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'm missing 1.
Missing 2. There's 6
Oh,
others.
I thought you said 5, including
No,
okay,
6
6
others.
I'm missing 2. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking Chris Dickerson. Connor, what do you think? He won U.S.
Yeah.
Has he won much more though?
I don't know.
Did he win Waco? No. Drew Gibson's won 2. He hasn't won 3. This is tough.
I'm trying to think.
Gotta be Calvin, surely. But has Calvin won 3? He won. Yeah, it's gotta be Calvin, right? Calvin's gotta be one of them. 3 across the last 5 years.
That seems like it makes
That seems
sense
too
to me.
easy. And it also has to be Chris, because Chris won Champions Cup and USDGC in the last 5 years. So he just had to win one. It's Elite Series.
Mm-hmm.
One Elite Series. He's won Music City. It's Chris Dickerson.
Yes, he has 3.
And then I think the 6th, it's got to be Calvin, surely. Right?
That makes sense in my
But
head.
what has Calvin won? Jonesboro. Twice. And then he just needs to have one random one.
Mhm.
Calvin Heimberg.
Calvin has 7.
Holy frick.
Wow. He just has to win one random one.
Yeah, so he won 4 random
And
ones.
so-
Hey, good for him.
This stat is
Yeah.
actually kind of crazy. I wanted
He
to bring
should be
it up
number 1.
because,
You know what? Yeah. Should we put Calvin number 1 for his last 5 years of experience?
Yes. Paul and Ricky have the exact same amount of starts. Paul has 21 wins. Ricky only has 12. Pretty significant. And second place is Eagle at 13. Paul is far and away higher than anybody else. It's pretty insane. So my next question would be, there are 1, 2, 3, 4 players who are just 1 win away from joining that elite company. Can
4
you name
players.
them?
4?
Yes.
1 win away. So these are people that in the last 5 years have won 2 Elite Series events.
Or majors.
Or majors.
Yes.
Greg Barsby.
Nope.
Dang. He won Worlds, and I thought he won Texas States, and he didn't.
Just 1 for him.
In my head, I was like, oh, he just won Texas States.
Yeah.
Then he didn't win Texas States. He almost won Texas States. Dang it.
Oh dang, who was? I just had somebody in my head. Has
Ooh,
Drew
ooh.
won 2?
Drew's won 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drew is one of them.
Because he won Las Vegas and Portland.
Yeah.
Nate Sexton's a possible answer.
I've been
No,
thinking
he
Nate
won
Sexton the whole
US.
time.
He won U.S.
But is
too
that
far ago.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It
Because
was
5
too long
years only
ago.
takes us back to 2017. And that was Germ.
Yeah.
And then, okay. So it wasn't Sexton.
I was thinking him for the original question.
It could have been Sexton, but because Sexton hasn't really won a Pro Tour or Elite
No,
Series.
not in the past.
Has he though? We'll come back to him.
Yeah,
we need
okay.
4. We only have 1.
Yeah.
Burr is a no.
Yeah.
Man, just 2 is an interesting one. Adam Hammes is a possibility. Kevin Jones, I don't think's won Elite Series. This is
It's a
tough.
much tougher list because there's only a few of them.
But did we say Simon?
Simon was on the first one.
Simon's on the first.
Oh, he
list.
was on the first one. Okay.
Well, he's
Yeah.
won 3 this year.
Gotcha.
Who else has won this year? We already said Drew. We got him. Waco was someone random, right? Or did Paul win Waco? Paul won Waco. What's the next stop after Waco? Jonesboro, Calvin won. Isaac Robinson hasn't won anything else. We already said
Gannon's,
James
how many is
Conrad.
Gannon won? Which
I
one?
don't think Gannon's ever won an Elite Series.
What did he win earlier this
He
year?
won a Silver Series.
You're right.
He's been in a playoff for an Elite Series.
Yeah,
There's also a chance that it's a player that's just irrelevant now.
Yeah, that is true.
Because 5 years, 2017. What was going on in 2017? I mean, Big Germ won USDGC. Has he got another Elite Series win in the last 5?
No way.
Possibly.
Well,
Because
there
you got to
is
think
a
national
way.
tours were Elite Series.
Do
and,
we
like,
go?
there's
Do we go back to Sexton?
Let's just say Nate Sexton.
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
I told
How
you,
dare you.
Hunter.
Just one.
Just one. What's his one?
Don't know. It doesn't have it listed here, but he's
okay.
got one.
Okay.
Oh, he won Vegas in 2020.
You're right.
Mm.
Good
I am
point.
the stat man, though.
He's a stat man, though.
I'm a stat man, though.
That's funny.
Good job, Hunter.
Thanks.
These are a
Stat
tough
man,
list, so
though.
just let me know when you give up.
Give me a hint. Can we have a hint?
His name
So you're
rhymes
missing 3. You've already named 2 of them out loud of the 3 that are left.
Oh shoot!
I don't remember who we've named.
I don't remember.
Do we go
either.
Jeremy Colling?
That seems so
Jeremy
unreasonable to
Colling.
me.
No.
Dang! 3 strikes.
Also
We're out.
just 1 for him.
Which is US.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, who else we named, Connor?
We said Gannon,
Gannon-
but
Gannon's
it
not
can't be
Gannon.
Gannon.
Mason Ford won Music City, but I don't. That was his only national. That's his only win.
Might not be getting this.
Kyle Klein, possibly.
Maybe
We didn't say his name. He hasn't won.
We
He
didn't
won
say his
Mid
name.
America and he lost USDGC. So
Yeah.
no.
Well, he has 1 win. Idlewild.
Oh yeah, he won Idlewild.
But Trevor wouldn't
But
have
Trevor
said
wouldn't
that.
have said he has 1 win if he had 2. Give me another hint.
I'm falling apart. over here.
Can't fall apart if I was never put together. Huh?
Another hint.
That's deep.
One of the players is in our power rankings
Okay.
that you have left to name.
All right.
Oh, we
who-
did say Kevin Jones recently.
Oh,
Did we just throw him in?
that makes sense in my
Kevin
head.
Jones.
That's one of them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Come on.
yeah.
We're back.
There's 2
We're on
more.
fire.
We're on-
Adam Hammonds.
Yes.
Come on. One more.
Last one's pretty tough.
Joel Freeman.
No. No.
I don't even think this last guy is in the States right now.
Oh
Ooh.
shoot! Is it?
Ooh.
Wait, is it Seppo?
In the States. Oh, is it Nico?
Yeah.
Oh.
the other one.
All right. Hey, Connor, we won. We got it.
Nice, we won.
That's tough.
We played your little game. We won your little stupid game.
Yeah.
Fan favorite segment, my butt.
So good at winning.
I'm sorry.
You guys
Your
are
butt is
winners.
the fan favorite segment.
Heck yeah.
It's my favorite segment. Okay.
That sounded like a fake laugh, Connor. I know it
It wa-
wasn't. I
it
know
was-
it wasn't. It just sounded like it.
Connor is the master of like real laughs
My
that
real
sound
life,
fake.
yeah, they do because they're very.
But you have different laughs.
I do. I
Like
have
you have
very
a,
different laughs.
like if you laugh hard enough, it sounds faker. The harder you laugh, the faker it
It's because
sounds.
it sounds like a cartoon character dad. Like,
Yeah. Oh man.
That was like your rich guy laugh.
I can't. You make me
Oh,
uncomfortable.
Oh, future manufacturing. That's what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well,
Recently, we
excited
got a
about this
shipment.
topic.
Recently, we got a shipment of Prodigy in, and it was
Okay.
it was the best I've ever felt it. It was so good
Yes.
that it led me to tweet about how good the D1 felt, and then someone responded and was like, "Oh yeah, I would love it if it wasn't made in China." And I was like, "What the frick are you talking about? It's made in Georgia." And then I looked at the back, and sure enough, it was made in China. And I believe it's made by Yikun. This is part of a new trend I wanted to talk about in disc golf, which is something that happens in the real world all the time. So it's just we're just seeing it in disc golf more and more.
You're saying disc golf isn't the real world?
Yes, which with disc golf
Touche.
matrix, disc golf, which is companies that are being made by other companies. Like I said, happens in the real world all the time, especially in the food industry,
Yeah.
and the car industry, and pretty much everywhere. But it has me wondering a little bit about what the future of disc golf looks like, and I'll explain that here in a second. But Latitude's parent company now manufactures for all of Trilogy, so Dynamic, Latitude, and Westside, Castoplast. And we can agree they at least had a big part in Discmania if they're not currently still
Yeah.
making their product. I believe that they are because I think that Discmania, the way they're getting around it by being like, oh no, Latitude doesn't make our discs is because we found out Latitude has a parent company, whatever that Mountain Disc or whatever.
Yeah.
So they're not lying. Latitude's not making them, but I don't think Discmania is truly making themselves. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But regardless, Latitude had at least a big part in getting Discmania off the ground and using their machines, and possibly more that I'm forgetting of for the Trilogy ones. But they also use robots for their manufacturing, which I think is another interesting part of the future. And someone the other day was explaining to me that they believe that that's the reason Trilogy plastic is notorious for breaking in quicker. And for that like middle dome is because the suction cup, when it gets the plastic off while it's still hot,
Yeah.
stretches it and lessens the integrity of the disc. So like the plastic, that Italian blend plastic or whatever, it doesn't react well to the suction cup. And so when the suction cup pulls it, it creates that bowl in the middle, but it can also do the opposite. But either way, it stretches the disc, and they think that reduces the quality of the disc.
Well, so that to me, I mean, that's a perfectly fine theory. However, two things to mention. Number one, they can figure out how to fix that problem. That's why robots are so good. Like it's very easy to fix things like that. So that's just a need of new technology. Number two, I've thrown the new C-Line stuff from Discmania, and it's very durable and overstable and so like clearly there has like if those are being manufactured by robots, clearly been figured out.
I heard the Italian blend is this just the first time it's being marketed to the mass audience. It's what like Crystal and like pretty much anything that like that's super see-through plastic is always just been Italian blend.
Interesting.
Like that's just what
better
it is.
marketing.
What does Italian blend mean? Like what is the plastic?
Probably
actually?
it's just sourced from Italy. That's probably all it is. Like they probably order like
It's hard to find
it's
now.
the same
Like-
plastic that you use to make the Italian
that would be like
flag.
if we found that would be like if we found t-shirt wholesalers to buy like blank shirts and they just happen to be from Sweden and we were like it's a Swedish blend cotton. Like I feel like that's the marketing
That
spin
sounds
they
pretty
basically
sick. I
Does
think
sound
we should
sick.
do
I
that.
want
exactly.
that.
See what I mean? Like that.
Like how
you
Volvos have Swedish steel.
yeah, exactly. And what is it? It's just steel from
And
Sweden.
it's also just a Volvo. Blech.
Hey, dude. Dude, I've got like 3 Volvos, dude.
I know. I
I'm just
forgot.
kidding. Don't please
Yikun-
don't get that out there.
Yikun also manufactures for themselves Prodigy, Discmania, Active Line, and possibly more. Innova makes themselves Infinite and Millennium. MVP makes Thought Space Athletics and Mint. All those also might have more. I don't really know the point I'm trying to make, but it's something I noticed recently, and I feel like we might see a split soon. This is where I think things get interesting, where some companies use the cheapest manufacturing and materials possible while still having a decent product and are able to undercut the market. And then some go the opposite way, like mixed by hand, developed by hand, and turn into a more boutique brand with higher end plastics and better quality control.
It's
like that's
tricky.
kind of a split you see like PXG in golf versus like Titleist is like middle of the road, right? And then still high end, but PXG, then you have like your main brands, then you have your cheap brands.
Well, PXG is not all that much better than any of the way.
But the way they were marketing themselves for years.
PXG marketed themselves as the most expensive club.
That's what I'm saying. Disc golf hasn't had that happen yet.
Yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. The interesting thing about golf clubs is like there is a number of brands, top brands. I'll just throw out. I think Titleist and TaylorMade definitely are involved in this, if not some more, that all use the same manufacturer for their golf irons. And Mura, I believe, is the company. But this is something that happens, obviously, like you mentioned, everywhere. And what I expect will happen is that we're just going to, at the beginning, we're just going to see a few giants emerge, which is what's happening already. You're going to have Yikun and Latitude, 2 giants over on the other side of the pond. And then you're probably going to have Innova and MVP be the 2 big giants over here. I guess Discraft, you could.
Yeah,
you could
Discraft, I forgot to throw them in there. Dude does make DGA and Plastic Addict. They're still around.
Yeah, they are right now still doing all their own manufacturing. And I think the companies that have invested in a lot of infrastructure will have enough of a leg up that they'll absorb the small disc companies and make that like part of their business model. But it'll be interesting to see how long that goes because like PXG, another big part of their marketing was that their clubs, I believe, are manufactured in the USA, and they're very loud about that. So like, it's kind of how every other industry is. Like, there's 2 sides to it because like Nike makes very premium clothing, however, it's not manufactured in the U.S. So it can be like brands can thrive with overseas manufacturing certainly. Now the ethics of that manufacturing or the quality sometimes can be scrutinized, but it can be done successfully on a big scale, obviously. But then on the other hand, you have the companies that stay American manufactured. There's a lot of sympathy for that from consumers, and that's a big marketing thing to say that you're manufactured in the U.S. I expect is going to happen is as more disc manufacturers move overseas with their manufacturing, in particular to China, because that's more of a buzzword. You're going to see more companies like Innova and Discraft using that "Made in the USA" tagline a little more heavily.
Well, I'm wondering too. Another thing we've seen Prodigy do it slightly, Discmania do it slightly, but they haven't done it fully. Where Prodigy has the Ace line, which now obviously more of Prodigy is being made in China, but that was made in China and was cheaper. Discmania has the Active line, made in China, cheaper.
Right.
But again, their Discmania Active line, Prodigy Ace line. What we haven't seen, to my knowledge at least, is a company like Innova be like, hey, we're going to keep making our discs the way we do. Let's start a whole separate company. And that's our like budget brand, like Toyota and Lexus. In car dealerships, they go the opposite way, where it's like, Innova, we don't want to water down our branding, because like if you buy a Discmania Active Line disc and you throw it and it's not a great quality, it could have a negative effect on Discmania's branding.
That's a very interesting point.
So that's the whole reason car companies do it, is like their why, what Toyota markets to isn't what a luxury car wouldn't do well in Toyota.
Yeah.
So they have to split into Lexus, because then they can market a completely different way.
That's fascinating. And because in golf, they do that with golf clubs. With like a driver, if TaylorMade comes out with the M1, they a lot of times will have the M2, or like the Rocket Balls driver that like they fit price ranges. Like that's because right now disc golf, for the history of the sport, it's always been that even the most premium disc is really like, what's the difference? $10. So like there's not really like companies aiming to fit windows of price range. Like golf balls is the perfect example. There's so many different windows. But as discs get more expensive, and especially if you start seeing companies decide to take the approach of let's make the most expensive disc and let's market that way and see if it works, you may see companies like Innova say, this is our most premium disc. And because like plastic types kind of do that, but not really. But like I also think it'll have to do with like disc innovation and technology, because like is premium plastic enough to drive consumers to different price ranges, and how big is that gap? Because I don't think it really matters until you get to the point where, okay, now we're selling a driver for $30 and $15. Like once you get to that kind of gap, now we're talking about something. So that will be interesting to keep note of.
Yeah, I just think like someone's going to do it eventually. They might already be doing it, because like if you're looking from the outside in, Lexus and Toyota are ran as two different businesses.
Right.
You don't see Lexus and Toyota, like there's not this big crossover blend in marketing, how everything's ran. But if you peel back the curtain, it's like, oh, it's literally like some of their cars are literally like, that's just a Toyota with a Lexus and like a little bit higher end features.
Nice interior.
But it's so that the Lexus brand can market away to a richer audience, and the Toyota brand markets away to your more everyday man.
Yeah.
That in disc golf hasn't happened yet. It's happened in an incorrect way, in my opinion, of like the Prodigy Ace line, the Discmania Active line, where again, you're risking the Discmania or Prodigy name getting
I think those
weakened.
were more about demand, though.
I agree.
Yeah.
Because it happened during COVID, but I'd be very curious if like Innova or someone like that does it, where they're like, hey, Innova's going to be loud and proud, made in the USA, push it, higher end product, and then we're going to start this secondary, Samson disc. I just saw Samson discs, and that's a whole separate thing. It's under Innova's the parent company, but like unless you're in the know, you're not going to know.
Right.
And that's, cheaper made. They can even use the same molds. Like, oh, this is just our MD3 mold, but now it's in this cheaper plastic, or our Rock 3 or whatever. Yeah. It's just in cheaper plastic, but now it's under a different name, and it's completely... It's a very capable thing to happen.
I'm waiting for the day that a company comes out there and they start selling discs for like $50 and they make that their whole marketing thing. Like, we have the most premium material.
Yeah.
Like that.
Well, the only thing that we've seen close is EV7 with putters. That's the only, which they're not doing the premium thing, but that's the first company we've seen that like, this is our thing and we're not moving.
Yeah.
Where it's like, hey, we make the best putters on the market,
right.
is what they're saying.
We're not just a disc golf company. We have a focus. Like, this is what we do. Yeah, I agree. I think...
Or if you see a company do something like, because like Scotty Cameron is now a part of TaylorMade, right? Where it's like, why would Titleist? Why would Titleist have a whole separate putter company? It's like, well, because a Scotty Cameron putter is it like, will companies do that of like Discraft's like, hey, or Prodigy is actually a better example. We kill the mid-range game, but our Prodigy branding's holding back how good our mids are.
Yeah.
Let's split off and we just start a mid-range only company.
Yeah.
And it's like our mid-range and putters, because that's what Prodigy's so good at. Maybe we'll call it something like EV7.
Yeah.
And we'll, but you can see where my line of thought is there. Is like, if you are worried about X, Y, or Z's holding this part back, starting a separate company, we just haven't seen that in disc golf yet. And watching manufacturing start to move to China, start to move to Sweden, companies start taking over, then it's like, well, I guess actually we have seen it, because like Latitude, Dynamic, Latitude, like actually we've kind of seen it, but regardless, we haven't seen it on a bigger scale.
I think
something that's interesting.
It is interesting too.
That's a really good thought,
because and we've talked about this a lot, but the disc world is not really driven yet by competition between the companies. They're not trying to one up with new marketing or new technology, because like in golf, that's everything. What's our fancy new looking thing? What's the technology? Why should you buy it versus the competitor? That's not happening in disc golf yet, because they've all just been thriving off of their fan base and what the players drive. But what'll happen is, because in golf, there is a, yes, there are loyalistic companies, certainly. You also have people that hit clubs because of players. However, there is a big audience in golf that is looking for technology. That'll say, oh my gosh, TaylorMade has this new thing that's going to make me hit the ball straight. Well, I'm going to get the TaylorMade driver.
That carbon face on the Stealth driver,
right, carbon face, twist face technology.
I'm not even that into golf, and I want that thing so bad.
So that is something and they're going to tell you this is what it does versus the competitor's driver. That is something in disc golf that hasn't happened yet, but my theory is that because it's getting so crowded now with manufacturers, and you're starting to see a shift in disc golf recently where people are trying new things, and because the retailers like ourselves have become bigger proponents in disc golf, Infinite Discs, like you're talking about, like big entities, and obviously they're trying to sell every brand. So you're starting to see that people are getting into the sport without preconceived ideas of what they want to throw. They're trying new things. And I think because of that competition, companies are going to start realizing that the game is changing to where now we need to be thinking about not necessarily just new molds or new players, but like what's a new product? What's a new plastic blend, a new disc technology we haven't tried? That's what I want to see.
Well, they should have seen, I'm sure people have, because the people behind disc golf companies aren't stupid, but seeing the hype that Discmania was able to create by just throwing the word Italian blend in there.
That's what I'm saying. It's
giving
there.
an identity to your plastic.
Yeah, it's there. And what did we all do? We just wanted to feel that plastic, So, you come out with a disc and even if it's just a new mold and you're like, we figured out something with aerodynamics, like this is the most blah, 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 blah. Like that is what gets people excited.
Like the loft disc, that wing.
Exactly.
The evidence, you thought you were going to hate it, but you wanted to throw it.
The evidence is there that if you try new things, people are going to want to see it. And like, that's just what I want for disc golf. I want to see more competition between brands because it creates more innovation within the product that I think desperately needs it.
Yeah. All right, well, that's Grip Locked. That's this week's episode. This show has just turned into an 1.5 hour long podcast.
We just had a couple packed shows, and next week is going to
week's going to be big. Next week is the World's Preview / Grip Locked episode tied into one. We're not going to have 2 episodes.
We should do some kind of like special reveal for our World's picks, like have like a board and like pull off pieces of paper.
Yeah, next week we definitely should have a reveal. We're doing the live stream on Saturday. It's the final round of Worlds.
Yes.
Next Saturday. Not this upcoming Saturday, the next Saturday, the final round of Worlds.
Yes.
Hopefully, most of the company will be a part of it. I don't know who all from the warehouse is going to hop in, but we're going to be here eating some pizza, watching some disc golf, and we would love for you guys to join us virtually. Just hop on YouTube. Our main channel will be streaming it, and you can just throw it up on one tab, throw the Worlds coverage up on the other tab. We'll be making side bets. We'll be just hanging out, shooting the breeze, watching some disc golf. And it's going to be a good time, pretty much guaranteed, because Worlds always is.
Yeah.
And yeah, last year's, if you didn't watch it, obviously it was crazy. So I wouldn't promise it's going to be the same as last year because I don't think we're going to get that type of throw-in. But it could be crazy. Something could happen. It could be like a 2014-esque playoff where it just has like people are trampling each other.
That would be great.
Who knows? But regardless, you're not going to miss the Worlds preview next week and then the Worlds live stream next weekend. And we're super stoked for it. We'll be posting throughout this week and next week kind of like what's on the line, what we're playing for, what type of bets we're going to have. So you can kind of get your own stuff, and play alongside us, if you will. And it'll be a real good time.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Yeah. Oh, if you're a Discraft fan, we have a lot of Discraft going on our site this week. We also have a lot of MVP going on our site this week, which if you haven't watched my MVP only video, if you haven't checked out MVP, definitely worth it. And we're going to have a restock this week, so it's a great time to do so. But other than that, we'll talk to you next week for Worlds Week. You're not going to miss.